Chapter 1. The Awakening of the Animals. The sun dipped low over the zoo, casting long shadows from the iron bars that encaged each weary animal. The air, thick with the smell of popcorn and the distant hum of visitors' chatter, began to cool as the zoo prepared to close for the night. But the enclosure that housed the lions, the owls, the hens, and the horses was far from quiet. The animals gathered near the edges of their pens, peering through gaps, eyes shining with a mixture of hope and desperation. In the midst of them all stood Eldon, the wise old owl, perched on a low-hanging branch in his modest aviary. His feathers ruffled in the evening breeze, and he spoke with a voice that seemed to carry the weight of ages. "Friends, I remember a time when the skies stretched without end, where no bars shadowed my wings," Eldon began, his voice soft yet carrying to the ears of the animals gathered around. "Now, I am but a shadow of my former self, grounded by the walls that hold us." Beside him, Leo, the lion, with a mane that had dulled to a tired yellow, nodded vigorously. He leaned forward, his powerful frame now shrunken against the cold iron bars of his enclosure. The once proud king of the jungle, reduced to pacing the same patch of worn ground day after day. "Eldon speaks true," Leo exclaimed, his voice a deep rumble that resonated through the still air. "I once roamed free, a king in my own right, but here I am reduced to nothing more than an exhibit. We must reclaim what was once ours." A murmur of agreement swept through the gathered animals, their eyes reflecting the dying light. Yet among them, a hint of uncertainty lingered, a question that no one dared to voice. Henrietta, the hen, her feathers fluffed in nervous habit, clucked softly to herself. She glanced around, catching the eye of Jasper, the hard-working horse whose broad shoulders bore the marks of years spent pulling carriages for visitors to admire. Would it be so bad to have a life beyond these bars? Jasper mused aloud, his voice deep but tinged with longing. A life where we are not caged for the amusement of strangers. Henrietta bobbed her head, her beak scratching the dry earth as she considered Jasper's words. But her clucks held a note of anxiety, as if the thought of a world beyond the zoo filled her with as much fear as it did hope. "I've known nothing but this place, Jasper," Henrietta replied, her voice a soft murmur. "What if the outside world is even harsher? At least here, we know where the next meal comes from." But Leo's roar cut through her hesitation. "And what kind of life is this, Henrietta? A life where we are paraded before strangers like curiosities, fed just enough to survive, but never enough to thrive." As the debate continued, Eldon's keen eyes swept over the group, taking in their faces, some marked by hope, others shadowed by doubt. He spread his wings, a rare sight, as if reminding them of the majesty he once held. "Do you not feel it?" Eldon's voice lowered to a whisper, almost conspiratorial. "The winds of change are stirring, rustling the leaves even within our cages. Something is coming, something that could break the chains that bind us." The animals fell silent, a shiver running through them as Eldon's words settled like a seed in their hearts. Beyond the enclosures, the zoo's security cameras, those all-seeing eyes that never blinked, swiveled slowly back and forth, keeping watch over their every move. For a moment, they each looked around, their thoughts turning to what might lie beyond the zoo's walls. Leo's gaze lingered on the horizon, imagining the open savannas of his youth, while Henrietta glanced nervously at the solid metal gates that had always been closed to them. The breeze carried with it a scent of freedom, of possibility, and of the unknown. Yet just as quickly, the cold reality of their bars reminded them where they were. Eldon folded his wings, and a resigned quiet settled over the group, though a new tension crackled in the air. Little did they know, this would be the night that changed everything. And as the first stars began to dot the sky, the animals turned their thoughts to a future they had never dared to imagine. Hope, as fragile as the last light of day, flickered among them. But would it be enough to set them free? Stay tuned, for what the zoo inhabitants face next will challenge not only their strength, but their very ideas of freedom and unity. The night is only just beginning.